Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I've been talking about it for quite a while. The Dollars and Cents series that I used to do years ago, pre-COVID, which was a opportunity for citizens to come out and ask questions about why the city does what we do, what we actually are responsible for, how we go about it. I would pick a topic basically, and for an hour, give a little presentation on reasons behind the decisions we make and what goes into it, and just educate people about the city and about government processes. It went away after COVID, or during COVID, and has not come back yet. With everything that's been going on with tax discussions and with tax bills going out. The first session I ever did was on understanding your tax bill and levy processes. I want to bring that back and start that off again. This is a good time of year to do it. So July 11th at 6 p.m. we'll be kicking that off. I have not yet determined a location. We used to do it at It's All Good, but they closed at 1, I believe, on that day. So, but stay tuned on our social media pages, and I'll announce it at the July 2nd meeting if we have a location. But please, anyone who wants to come out and have a chance to ask questions and understand the city better, this is a great opportunity.
Administrator Nabel, thanks for bringing that back. It's such a great tool for us, and it's one of the things that we've tried to do over the last 9 or 10 years, 9 years that I've been involved with the council, to bring transparency to what's happening in our city. We don't hide things. Our meetings are public, and when people have the questions about things, our residents come here. While we might not answer them during the public comment section, we always set aside time after the meeting for them to talk to one of the department heads about an issue that they're having. One of the things that we would like to see as Administrator Nabel brings this series back is that we usually would have probably 5 to 10 people come to these events, and they're the same 5 or 10 people. And it's great that they're interested, but it's so crucial that people come up and get honest answers through transparency about what we're doing. And that's been something that we've made an effort to do over the last, when Mayor Hill did the same thing. Some of these programs started when Mayor Hill was here, my predecessor. And we've continued to do that, and we'll continue to be transparent with anything that we're doing throughout the city. So thank you for that, Administrator Nabel. And before I get to commissioners and their departmental commentary, we have a very special guest here with us this evening, State Rep Joyce Mason. And speaking of taxes and CEJA money, she wants to have an opportunity to explain some of the things that have been going on that have been in question publicly about the CEJA grant that the City of Zion worked hard to get. And of course, Senator Mason, excuse me, State Rep Mason, I'm giving you a promotion already.
Second time this week, someone's told me.
Yes, has worked diligently and hard with the other state reps and senators in Lake County to get this legislation passed. This is the woman that wrote the legislation. And while we have tried to explain pretty thoroughly about the legislation, some people say, well, you're not telling the truth about it. So we asked the person that wrote this to come in and talk to our residents that are listening and the ones that are here about the legislation. So without further ado, you may take the podium. Oh, we had a gold mic for her, didn't we? So he has to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and commissioners. Can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
If you will also indulge me, I have a guest with me that I'd like to introduce for those of you who haven't met her. Andrea Hall joined my office this year. She is doing community outreach, and she is often the person that you will see at the community hub that's happening once a month in Zion, at our neighborhood office hours in Zion every other Tuesday, and in Winthrop Harbor every other Tuesday. So she's going to, and at these meetings when I can attend. She's going to be out and about in the community and is just lovely. And if you need anything from us, I'm really proud to have Andrea representing us.
Well, welcome, Andrea, and great to see you again.
Thank you. That being said, you were moving along so efficiently, and I'm bringing you to a grinding halt, but I'll try to be as quick as I can. I'm State Representative Joyce Mason. In 2021, I co-sponsored and helped pass state legislation known as CEJA, the Clean Energy Jobs Act. It takes steps to address our climate crisis, move to 100% renewable energy, create good paying clean energy jobs, and bring employment training and opportunities to communities like ours, those who have been affected financially by environmental pollution by big energy companies. As this legislation was being drafted, we saw a rare opportunity to help repair the damage to our community that was caused by the decommissioned nuclear power plant that sits on our shores. I worked incredibly hard along with Mayor McKinney, Administrator Dave Mabel, Attorney Jimmy Vaselli, to negotiate language in this bill that would ensure that the Zion community received funding and, most importantly, property tax relief for residents and businesses who have been buried for so long trying to make up the funds that were lost with the closing of the plant, trying to hold up the whole community that suddenly found itself in dire need. I consider the language that I negotiated into this legislation to be my greatest achievement in the 5 years I've been serving, because I know how much people in our community are hurting. I hear from people every single day who are losing their homes, who are being forced to move, who can no longer afford to pay their rent, who are making impossible choices between mortgage, rent payments, taxes, groceries, medication, medical care, school supplies, car repairs, and other basic needs. I've been so proud of this legislation, and I've eagerly awaited the day when this money, almost $15 million a year, would start flowing into the community and to the residents who have struggled for so long, and to be able to give extra funds to our local taxing bodies, including our schools, our police, our fire, our township, our parks, libraries, so we could all do more and offer more as we work together to build this community up. Recently, there have been a great many statements and a newspaper article regarding this money. And as the person who authored this section of the legislation that is bringing this funding in, and as the person who passed this legislation in our state house for our community, I think it's really important to make some facts clear. This money is coming from state legislation that state legislators passed. When drafting this legislation, the legislative intent from day one was and has always been to provide substantial property tax relief to the people of our community to ease their burden, and then to provide additional funds to our taxing bodies. It is up to the state legislature and no one else to determine where this money will be allocated. It is not up to any taxing body, and it is not up for negotiation or debate. The plan to provide property tax relief has been public from day one. In the press release I issued on September 9th, 2021, I'm quoted as saying, "I'm grateful that we found a legislative solution that will provide much needed property tax relief to the people and businesses of Zion." And the heading of this press release, "Mason secures property tax relief and decarbonization with clean energy bill." In fact, in this very chamber in 2021, I was so humbled to have received a proclamation thanking me for my efforts. And we discussed the property tax relief that would be forthcoming right here at this podium. And in subsequent meetings with all stakeholders, the legislative intent was made clear over and over again. And anyone who tells you differently is simply not being honest with you. Let me be completely clear. As an educator, as the proud mom of a teacher here in our community, the sister of a retired teacher, a former vice president of the Woodland School Board, a member of the House K-12 Elementary Education Curriculum and Policies Committee, and the current chairperson of the House Child Care Accessibility and Early Childhood Education Committee, I am and always have been committed to providing the best education to the kids here. I fully understand the gaps that exist and those that don't. I was advocating for the evidence-based funding model for education that brings schools more money in struggling communities from the state before I ever even dreamed of running for state representative. I was stuffing envelopes and making speeches and passing out yard signs. And I watched in Springfield as it passed. And I've watched it make a difference in the schools. And I have spent considerable time advocating for additional money to be spent in our state budget to go to K-12 education. I also helped Governor Pritzker implement Smart Start this year, which puts a tremendous amount of funding and capital funding. And this year alone added 5,000 new preschool spots in locations like Beach Park, which is known to be a child care desert. This year we added $350 million additional dollars to our K-12 schools to help them catch up. And I will keep fighting for more. Additionally, I've allocated millions in operational and capital funds to this part of the district, providing more funding for schools, parks and playgrounds, roads, municipal buildings, public safety initiatives, equipment, the lakefront, and Illinois Beach State Park. And yes, stormwater management too. My office volunteers at the Zion Mobile Food Pantry, and I have donated thousands of dollars in supplies to residents of this community and to teachers working in this community. I understand the needs of this community. But Zion has a great many needs, and the intent of the legislation that was passed by the state can and will provide significant property tax relief to our community and infuse additional funding to our schools and other taxing bodies. In doing so, our community will be a place where families can afford to live, will want to move to. They'll want to learn here, recreate here, do business, and open businesses, along with adding better supports for our first responders who protect us and keep our streets safer. We're on our way to better days in this community because we took all of that into consideration when very carefully crafting this legislation together. And I'm so grateful for Mayor McKinney, Administrator Dave Nabel, Attorney Jimmy Biselli for all of the work that they put into this. If people have questions about the state legislation and the legislative intent that existed from day one and has been publicly discussed, I'm happy to discuss them with those that want to have respectful dialogue. But what I'm disappointed by and what I won't accept and what has to stop are lies, half-truths, name-calling, or public rants by those who weren't given the full information. And I will never accept unwarranted attacks on our Zion officials who have worked and continue to work so hard for this community. They work day and night and weekends to help meet the needs of their residents. I wish you guys could see them day by day and see all the work that them and their teams do. And quite honestly, we should all be expressing gratitude to them for their care, concern, and service. I know it, so many people know it. I am grateful to you as community leaders and as my partner in helping to make this community better. So I thank you, and I am always happy to answer additional questions about this, and I will continue to clarify the intent of this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, State Rep Joyce Mason. And we thank you endlessly, because we know when we have an issue here and there's funding needs, grant needs, that you and our Senator Mary Ellie Allen have been terrific in working with us. You've been true community partners that understand the challenges of this community, the challenges that we face, and the projection of what we're trying to do to improve this community. So thank you for your work around the clock. We can never thank you enough. And thank you for being here and clarifying that. I know there's a school board meeting on September 20th, I'm sure that's September, but in June 25th, if I'm right. And we certainly would appreciate it if you would make those statements there to clarify to their board and their superintendent exactly what this legislation was intended for. So thank you for coming tonight. Does any of our commissioners have any questions for State Rep Mason?
I'll just echo the thanks of you, Mayor McKinney. Thank you so much for writing this legislation. And it's always been clear to us the intent of it, and you just made that doubly clear, so thank you again.
Absolutely. I echo that. Thank you. We're all in agreement here. I would add, if possible, could a copy of your statement be provided to the clerk to be included in the minutes? It'll make her job a little easier.